Hey everyone, I'm Brett, and welcome to Nightwood Guns. So when you first get into the everyday carry or concealed carry community, you're trying to figure it out, you hear a lot of unwarranted advice. And a lot of that advice that you hear has to do with what gun you should carry and how you should carry it. And the most common advice that I typically hear people give out is, well, you should have a have-it gun and not a leave-it gun, meaning you should carry a small, lightweight, comfortable gun to carry because you're more likely to have it with you than leave it behind because it's heavy and bulky. And then I hear advice coming from the other side of the spectrum that is you should carry as big of a gun as you can because you'll probably shoot it better than a small gun. So today we are going to put both ends of that advice to the test and uncover the truth of whether or not the gun that you carry makes a difference performance-wise in your marksmanship as it relates to concealed carry. We're gonna test that by selecting two extremes on either end of the debate and run them through 3 concealed carry drills that I believe are the baseline that if you can pass them, you should be confident in your marksmanship skills for common threats that you may face as a concealed carry citizen. So the two guns that are going head to head are the Sig P365, the best-selling concealed carry handgun in the United States. It is lightweight, small, and easy to conceal. A micro carry gun like this is going to be the ¡1 most common concealed carry choice among most people. And then we're going to compare it to the Staccato XC. This is considered to be one of the best shooting handguns ever made. It is a full steel frame, full-length dust cover, heavy 2011 competition gun with an integral compensator and lightning cuts in the slide. This thing is an absolute monster to shoot and is considered to be the cheat code handgun by many because it's so easy to shoot it well. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are looking at these two guns and you're like, well, duh, of course the Staccato XC is going to shoot significantly better. But the question is, if you're a proficient shooter, will the gun that you carry make a difference in the outcome of a defensive encounter? And be sure to stick around for the end of the video because I'm going to go over whether or not having a red dot made a difference in these drills, and my observations might surprise you. And for my YouTube manual reviewer, one of the reasons I picked the Staccato XC is because it comes this way, hyper-tuned from the factory. This is the factory configuration of the gun, as is the P365. 2 bone stock guns, no modifications. As we make our way through today's video, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. So whenever you think it's a good time, in the comments down below, let me know what your thoughts are about handgun selection for everyday carry. Before we hop into the video, YouTube has been raking my channel over the coals. It is harder than ever for me to keep this channel going, but I really want to keep it alive. So if you'd like to help support the channel for free, please take a couple of moments to watch these announcements before we head into the good stuff. Great news, doors are finally open for my online coaching course, Advanced Pistol Fundamentals for Concealed Carry. Whether you're an experienced shooter who struggles to keep tight groups when you turn up the speed of your shooting, or if you're a somewhat new shooter that is looking to cement some excellent fundamentals in your pistol marksmanship, this course is the perfect place for you. Since this is my founding members run and is limited to only 10 spots, my patrons and early access people had first shot at it, so we're down to 8 spots remaining. Once doors close for this on September 20th, I probably won't be doing it again until 2024, so be sure to hop in now while you have the chance. If you're new around here and you haven't really seen me shoot before, check out the Tier 1 Concealed 3/7s drill. I have the Pistol Fundamental Mastery coin for that, only 100 of these exist, and that just gives you an idea of what kind of skill and knowledge I can pass along to you. So check the link in the description below to see the course details and to sign up. If you're watching this after doors have closed, the link down below will actually take you to the waitlist for the next time I offer an online course. And by the way, if you need some more ammo, check out my friends over at True Shot. They provided the ammunition for today's video, and they will be providing the ammunition for more videos in the future. They are a huge ammo distributor. Their stock is incredible and their prices are reasonable. They are good people over there, and if you want to support the people that are supporting my channel and keeping it going, be sure to purchase your next ammo over at True Shot. And finally, don't forget to like the video, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and leave a comment down below throughout the video. Now let's hop into the good stuff. So these 3 drills that I'm about to do are the 3 drills that I recommend you be able to pass at a bare minimum in order to be confident in your marksmanship skills when it comes to everyday carry. So the first drill that came to mind when putting these two head to head was the Bill drill. So the Bill drill, made by Bill Wilson of Wilson Combat fame, is 6 shots in the A zone of a target at 7 yards. And from an outside the waistband holster, you're usually shooting for about 2 seconds from concealment. I like to do it in 3 seconds or less. When it comes to defensive shooting, a high volume of fire to the upper torso is the best way to stop an attacker the fastest. And this drill really puts your recoil control to the test and maintaining a tight group size at distance and speed. When I did these drills, it was like 106 degrees outside and my camera kept overheating and I was fighting it all day. So definitely not my best day at the range, but that is good training because you're probably not going to be at your best on the worst day of your life if you need to use your handgun to protect yourself. Moving on from the build drill, we have the 5x5 drill, which is 5 shots in a 5-inch circle at 5 yards in 5 seconds. And of course, since this video focuses on carry guns, I'm shooting it from concealment. Finally, we have the big one, the FBI qualification. Now this one I think is particularly important because it's going to test your marksmanship skills at all distances going all the way out to 25 yards. And as we've seen in the defensive shootings of Jack Wilson and Eli Dicken, the 2 armed civilians that stopped mass shooters, you very well may need to take a shot at distance. Now, a lot of people like to squabble over the details of the FBI qual because some of them call for low ready and people argue, well, is low ready just pointing at the toes of the target or is it pointing all the way down? What does that mean? So I just shot the whole thing from concealment just so there would be no squabbling. And also just to add a little bit of an extra challenge. And to add to it, the way I recommend a concealed carry citizen shoot the FBI qual is at a defensive cadence. A lot of the different stages of the FBI qual give you an overabundance of time to shoot that portion of the drill. And honestly, it's probably too much time. So I shot the whole thing at what I consider to be a defensive cadence, which is finding a balance between pulling the trigger as fast as I can while keeping my shots on target. So let's put them head to head in the FBI qualification.
right.
So with the FBI qualification drill, you have to keep all of your shots in the bottle or the bowling pin and above the dotted line on the bottom of the torso. So I shot a score of 100 with the Staccato, and I threw one shot at 25 yards with the P365. Both of these scores would make me eligible for not just being an FBI agent, but for being a firearm instructor at the FBI. In fact, I cleared all 3 drills with significant time to spare with both firearms. I think what you notice in the FBI drill is that my groups opened up at distance with the P365, but I don't think that's because of the size of the gun. We're gonna get into that a bit because that might be iron sight versus red dot territory. The big difference between these 2 guns is that I took all of the times in all of the different portions of the different drills, and I found the average time and compared it between the P365 and the Staccato XC. And what I found is I put the same amount of shots on target, an average of 14% faster with the Staccato XC. So if you are shooting 6 times at a potential threat, all 6 rounds will have entered that target 14% faster with the Staccato. What that also means is if you have a small window to take a shot, a small opportunity, or if somebody is rushing at you with a butcher knife or a cleaver, you might be able to get a couple more shots on target as they're closing that distance to you. That gives you more chances to stop the attacker. And being able to put an extra round or 2 in the same amount of time might actually stop the attacker faster and could prevent them from shooting you altogether. Now, 14% might not sound like much, but imagine you just got a 14% raise at work. All of a sudden, nearly all of you could buy a Staccato XC. So it is a significant difference. But the question is, for the vast majority of people that will be facing the vast majority of potential threats as a citizen who concealed carries, is that 14% speed increase worth carrying a heavier gun that is more uncomfortable, a bigger gun that is harder to conceal? Now, if you watched my video from like a year ago that was how many bullets do you need for self-defense, you will know that a study that I cited in that video said that 82% of people that defensively used a firearm did not even fire a shot. So you are prepared for 82% of violent encounters by carrying an unloaded firearm altogether. Beyond that, the majority of threats you may encounter that require shots to be fired, you will 100% be able to take care of with a micro carry gun. Not to mention the typical cliche defensive encounters like the mugger in a parking lot, someone breaking into your home, a carjacker. All of those potential threats will easily be stopped by the Sig P365 as shown in the drills. This gun performs adequately, but a hyper-tuned gun like this might come in handy for the lightning strike events, the rare encounters. That's going to be bullet immune attackers. These are people who are probably hopped up on PCP that are trying to rob you or kill you to get their next fix. We've seen so many police body cams of these dudes just eating bullets, getting shot 8, 10 times, and they just keep coming. They cannot be stopped. When you have a window of opportunity to counter ambush an attacker, being able to put more rounds into a bad guy in that window of time could very well make the difference between life and death. Another threat that's actually more common would be multiple attackers. If you are standing off against an El Presidente, 3 dudes armed with guns trying to carjack you, all of a sudden something that you can shoot faster like this is looking a lot more appealing to your chances of survival. Now here's the thing, if you blast one of them and the rest run away, which is very common in those scenarios, something like this is perfectly adequate. But if they don't and they decide to shoot back, it's good to be able to cash your check with a bigger, heavier gun, maybe with a compensator on there that you can shoot a lot faster. Something like this can level the playing field in a scenario like that. And of course, the final one, if you do find yourself in an active shooter situation and you cannot escape or get out of there and you have to fight a dude armed with a rifle, then something like this can help level the playing field. Being able to put a higher volume of fire with accuracy at a potentially armored bad guy who is at distance, something like this can help level the playing field for you. And my philosophy is if you're prepared for those encounters with a bigger and heavier gun, then you're also prepared for those more common encounters like the mugger or the carjacker. And I think another reason to consider carrying something like this is in case you find yourself in a defensive encounter against someone who has training. Something like this will be just fine against Johnny Crackhead who has a broken high point. But if you get into a road rage encounter with somebody who has a significant amount of pistol and tactical training, then having faster splits while maintaining proficient accuracy could make the difference in the outcome. If you're fighting someone with an equal skill set to you, having a better gun than them could affect the outcome. Now, I mentioned that the only major difference between the two was split times, but my group did open up pretty significantly at 25 yards with the P365, but I don't think that's because of the gun itself. The Sig P365 has the Sig X-ray sights on them that are excellent for up-close shooting. It's got a big, thick front blade with a big green dot on there. Very easy to pick it up in peripheral vision and to shoot target focused while being able to reference your front sight. The problem is when you get out to significant distance, that big old dot and that big old thick front blade on the sight covers up a lot of the target. And since I kind of rushed my shots with this, I was unsure of my sight picture at that longer distance because the sights on this were so big. So if I would have had a red dot mounted on this, I'm confident that I would have shot a perfect 100 score and my group would have been tighter at distance. But it's not just a red dot that would have made a difference. If I would have had a thinner blade on the front sight, something like a Dawson Precision fiber optic front, I also could have more easily made those shots at distance. So that is going to segue into whether or not a red dot made a difference in these practical and simple drills over iron sights. And from my observations in these drills, the only difference that was made was at distance. I was able to be more precise at distance. As far as acquiring irons versus acquiring the dot, I shoot target focused no matter what. I have so much time behind irons and so much time behind dots, it did not make much of a difference. The benefits of a dot for everyday carry are not going to show up on a static range shooting a static target. The benefits of a dot beyond precision shooting, and yes, that includes precision shooting at speed, it is easier to draw and shoot a 1-inch circle at 7 yards with a dot than it is with irons like this. But whether or not that's necessary for practical self-defense is hard to say. It's very dependent on the situation. So if the best course of action to ending a threat is drawing and nailing a headshot immediately out of the holster, you're gonna be really glad you had that dot. But beyond that, the benefits of a dot are largely tactical. It allows you to have target focus while being able to see everything. You have the glass, you have your peripheral vision. It makes it easier to maintain target focus because you just have to reference a single dot instead of a front sight and rear sights if you need to shoot beyond very close quarters. And not only does it make that target focus easier and gives you higher precision while target focusing, it allows you to more easily see everything if there are multiple threats. Having an optic makes it easier to maintain awareness of your surroundings if your gun has to come out. But for the vast majority of defensive encounters, iron sights are going to get the job done just fine. While the dot does have advantages, especially in those more uncommon defensive scenarios, it's just not 100% necessary for defensive shooting. But again, my philosophy is if you are prepared for those uncommon scenarios, you are more than adequately prepared for the common scenarios as well. I'd rather be prepared for both. And those are my personal feelings on this topic. I will take whatever advantage I can get, no matter how small. Between the Staccato XC and the P365, this put the same amount of rounds on target 14% faster. If we start to close the gap between the two guns, let's say a Sig X Macro versus let's just say a Staccato C2, you're probably gonna see a smaller percentage difference in speed when it comes to your splits. But again, I would take a 1% guaranteed increase in splits over nothing. But it is also my opinion when giving advice that something like a P365 is completely adequate. The most important thing are those fundamentals of pistol shooting. If you have a 100% proper grip, you know what your sight picture is supposed to look like, you know all about trigger control, and you can apply those fundamentals to your smaller gun, then you are adequately prepared for defensive encounters. And to be honest, I think the best compromise is finding the perfect middle ground between the two by carrying something Glock 19 sized and throwing something like a Radian Ramjet Afterburner on there. With this combo, you have a bigger, compact gun with adequate capacity, and you're still gonna have a significant increase in speed getting your rounds down range versus something like this. But if you cannot deal with the discomfort or you just simply cannot conceal something like Glock 19 sized, then something like the P365 is going to be completely adequate if you are proficient in the fundamentals of pistol marksmanship. So if you are interested in my live online group coaching course about advanced pistol fundamentals for concealed carry in order to get those techniques on lock so you can perform well no matter what handgun you carry, don't forget to check the link in the description below, and that's also where you can find other ways to support the channel, like joining me over on Patreon or purchasing my awesome short novels on Amazon. Thanks again to True Shot for supporting the channel and providing the ammunition for today's video. It was great seeing you guys again, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm Brett, and this was Nightwood Guns. Nightwood out.